Akash Inti, the real reflection of you. Going for my sunset walk, what I like to call Sunset Boulevard, but what the world likes to call Rock Road West. It's a beautiful, beautiful day out today, and oh man, it's been one of those days where I did a lot of studying and I really soaked in the information. Like I really felt like I was a sponge and I took everything in. You know, have you guys ever had the experience where when you have some water, specifically in my experience, it's always been alkaline water. So anything that has a pH of 7 or greater than 7. And whenever I have it, usually when it's like the 8.5, the 9 type of stuff, I'm like, okay, this is some good stuff. But what I'll feel is when I drink the water itself, I'll actually feel as it's going down my throat, I'll feel like the cells, like my tissue in my throat and specifically in my stomach, like in this region, right? I'll feel it already starts to take up the water. It's almost like it sucks it in. And so that's what I felt like with the knowledge today. It was like I felt like I really took it in and I became it. And that's one of the biggest things that I've been learning. AZD mentioned this on mentorship earlier today. It's like the teaching is only passed on, or the teacher only passes on the knowledge when the teaching is taken up. And the only way the teaching can be taken up is by the individual themselves. It's anyone could be in the same room to listening to the same people, but for some people, information that's provided and that's delivered, they really take it in. There's something that resonates with them. Whereas for others, it's just like, oh yeah, that was a cool video. Like, all right, he made some good points, but I don't know if it's for me. And so what makes that difference? Like, what makes the person go to a seminar, they spend tens of thousands of dollars, and they're like, okay, cool, I'm going to get something out of this, versus the same person, another person, same type of experience, they spend tens of thousands of dollars, maybe they don't get so much. And that's kind of if you're spending tens of thousands of dollars on a seminar, you're going to get a lot out of it, because more than anything, it's like what you give is what you receive. So that's why whenever I see the world around me, one of the big things that I like to really do is how can I add to this experience? Because when I add to the experience, when I give to the experience without any expectation of what I'm to receive, the world always comes back to me and is like, you know what, dude? You gave a lot right here. I want to give you something back. And it's like, well, I don't even know what I want. Yet at the same time, deep down inside of me, there's something that I want, you know? It's like, but it's not what I know, you know? So it's like, for example, you're like, okay, Akash Inti, you are talking very high level concepts right now. Give me a story because I need a story. Well, here's an example. I go to a grocery store. And when I go to the grocery store, all I'm doing is all right, cool, I gotta get my groceries, making sure that I'm not hacking away or anything like this, because obviously you guys know COVID and whatnot, and people are like, oh my gosh, that guy's coughing over there, we gotta security's looking around, they're like, we gotta take this guy outside. And while I'm out there, it's like, okay, I'm focused on getting my groceries, but the small little things, it could be oh, I noticed someone is wearing a poncho or something like that. And as you guys know, I love ponchos. It's one of my favorite go-tos to an outfit because I think it adds so much. So I'll be like, oh, cool poncho. Now, the universe could be obviously it depends on the person's state of mind. The person could just be oh yeah, I was gifted this by my great-grandmother's second aunt who came from Pakistan, but also traveled to Peru, and they ended up meeting in some way, shape, or form to give me this poncho. And it's like, okay, cool story. But what I find more often than not is that in that moment where it's in a genuine appreciation of a piece of clothing, because I really do appreciate clothing and fashion and design and style, and what I'm giving out is to the universe, and obviously it's to the universe, right? It's it's to that specific individual, but to me, it's to the universe. What I'm giving out is appreciation. And oftentimes what I'll receive, specifically in that moment, if I'm using that as a specific example here, is connection, right? So obviously when we're in this whole COVID times, I'm not talking to people every single moment of the day, even though I am. But it's not one-on-one conversations. It's more group conversations, or it's more I'm learning or something like that. And it's not an interactive thing, though I have my parents and my family around to engage with whenever I'd like to. But what I'm receiving is a different type of connection. It's like it's almost like a mutual recognition of being human, you know? It's like, cool, we're going through this experience together right now. And it's not easy, you know? It's like, no one knows what's going on. It's uncertain. It's risky. Some people are like on edge, you know? But it's that sense of connection. It's that sense of that moment in time that it's the smallest moment in time, but it means so much. And it means everything in that moment, you know? In that moment when we're engaging and communicating with someone else, that's the only thing that's going on. When it's a true connection. And as human beings, we crave this. It's part of the human experience. We need this. That's why socializing is so important to us. But socializing to socialize, or socializing for the purpose of connecting, it's very different than socializing just to talk. And this is something that I've learned for myself more so, is like, don't just talk to talk. There's no purpose to it. It adds no value to anyone. It's both parties are like kind of a little ticked off about it, because it's like, well, there was no point in doing that. And oftentimes it causes conflict, more often than not. Rather, and I had an experience like this with my little brother the other day. Rather, when going about communication, seek to connect. And how do you seek to connect? Well, like I mentioned, it comes from connecting from within. So one of the things that I really appreciate is, like I mentioned, fashion in the story just earlier. And so when I go about my day, and I'm not saying like every single person that you see you need to connect with. No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, when you notice things that naturally capture your attention, like right now as I look up, I see these purple-ish pink flowers. I would say more of a magenta, but one could argue purple as well. Simply depends on your descriptions or definitions of colors. I'm not here to fight you on it. You can kind of see them right there. But that catches my eye. So let's say someone was walking right now. I'd be like, check out those flowers over there. Aren't they like, there's something, right? And in that moment, if the person's like, well, I don't even give a shit about flowers. I don't know why this guy is talking to me about flowers. Well, not going to form a connection. Cool. Next. But if that person's like, oh my gosh, did you see these other ones over here? Boom, connection formed. Both of us get that sense of bonding, or we get that sense of connection. You know, it's like seeing someone else who's observing or seeing the same thing as me. Someone who has the same type of feeling for an experience, a moment. And that's beautiful. So beautiful. Keep up. Thrive. Stay sexy.